Today I'll be talking about some very common traits that you'll notice in high vibration people, or if you don't like that term, then people who have sustained a long-term meditation practice for many years or many decades. There are certain qualities that you'll definitely notice in them. And this in yoga is called siddhis. These are very subtle powers that you develop over a consistent practice. And this is coming from my experience of noticing different teachers and my masters who have sustained a practice, and you can really see and notice the boons and benefits of that practice. So the first thing you'll notice in very high vibrational people is that they're very light. So things aren't very heavy for them. They often have a childlike innocence to them. So if you actually go on YouTube and type in Zen Master Jinen, he's a 80-year-old Zen monk. And when you actually look and listen to him talk and the way he acts, he almost sounds like a little kid. His eyes are very bright and he smiles a lot and everything's very light to him. That's because his lifelong practice of Zen meditation. And that brings me to another point. You'll notice in people's eyes, whether you can notice what state they're in. So oftentimes when we look at someone who is in a low vibration state, we might say that he has shifty eyes that dart side to side, or he has very cold eyes that are glazed over. And this is reflective of a person's inner state. We often say that the eyes are the window of the soul. So if you look at people who are in a very happy state, high vibration state, you'll notice that they have almost a glimmer in their eyes. So if you go on Google and type in Adyashanti, for example, who is an enlightened Zen teacher, or Mooji, for example, or Jinen, you'll notice that their eyes are very clear and they have a very lightness about them, and they're not straining their eyes. It's very clear and open. So that gives you an indicator of what their present state is like. Another thing you'll notice is that they're very focused. So if you're practicing a concentration-based meditation, such as Zen or even Vipassana, this practice allows you to bring your focus to an inner anchor within yourself over and over again. And if you aren't sure what anchors are, you can check out my other clip about that. But this practice allows you to focus on one thing at a time, and you develop that laser-like focus, which can take a while to develop, but that's something you'll definitely notice in people that have been practicing for a while. And the next thing would be everything is humorous. So like I mentioned, everything is light and playful. And people who have been practicing for a while or are in a high vibrational state just are very light and find the humor in everything. So you'll notice if you see a video on YouTube, I think the Dalai Lama makes fart jokes, and he's like 70 at this point. So everything's funny, and you'll notice the opposite, where people who are in lower vibration states, and that's their reality in quotation marks, you'll notice that everything is difficult and heavy for them. So if you ever watch Jerry Springer, for example, although it's very humorous to watch and people are fighting and yelling at each other and fist fighting and all that on stage, for them it's an actual reality. So to people who are in a higher vibration states, everything just seems funny and they don't really get involved in the heaviness of life. So things just appear more lighter, freer, and more playful. And that's something you can also notice in yourself. If you've had a meditation practice for a while, you'll notice that things just seem a little bit less serious to you as you go on. And the next thing I would say is that people who are in higher vibration states like to share and raise other people up. So when you're coming from a lower state, you want things from life. You are grasping at things, and this gives off a needy kind of energy. And people who are in a happier state like to share. They like to give. They like to create. So some ways you can actually access the state is just by sharing your knowledge and love for things. So the person who plays guitar on the street is just sharing his love and energy, right? Or just giving away giving away your money for charity or anything like that. Any cause that you can support, anything you can share to other people. Maybe it's your knowledge of how to play tennis, for example, or your love for teaching yoga. There's different things you can do to share to others. And the more you spend in the state of sharing love, happiness, and your passions, the higher up and the lighter you feel. And then the more lighter you feel in general, you'll also notice that things have a more human and loving touch to things. So when you're interacting with people, you can actually notice that over time, there's subtle sensations. So you might give them a slightly longer hug, or you might look into their eyes a little bit more. There's more love in there. So you'll notice that people who are, I would say enlightened, if you want to call it that, you'll notice that they have a very loving quality of them. They really stare at you and really focus on you and put their attention to you. That's not something you'll really get from people who are kind of stuck in their own problems and heaviness and petty heaviness. So those are those are some qualities that I've noticed in people who are in very higher states, and they generally, the overall message here is that they share a lot of lightness and love. And this is something you can also look forward to in your practice, and there are a lot of ways you can accomplish these higher states, such as gratitude or dancing or sharing your passions, like I mentioned earlier. And the big thing is also just giving in general. So you'll notice that when you are in a heavier state, you are kind of focused just on yourself. But as you ascend and you have all your needs met internally, then you're in a position to give to others, share your love, and ultimately, that's what propels you to higher states as well. Just the act of looking after others and giving compassion and love to others as well. So I hope this helps. A lot of cool insights that I've just noticed over the years. And if you have any suggestions for any other future videos or talks or audio clips, just let me know. Thank you.